Welcome to the deep dive. And oh boy, today feels like we're stepping right into a mystery, doesn't it?
It does rather feel that way, doesn't it?
Read the small print. A clue.
Ooh, intriguing.
That's all we've got.
Yeah.
And alongside it, what do we have? Excerpts from Uber's privacy policy.
Okay.
Last updated July 17th, 2024. So yeah, let's break out the magnifying glasses, folks.
Yeah.
We are going deep into the small print today. What's lurking there?
It's funny how those three words,
Yeah.
read the small print, can send chills down your spine, right?
Right.
Because it is the universal warning, isn't it, that there's something you really should know.
It's a bit ominous, isn't it?
It is.
You know, what am I signing up for? Okay, let's start then with this first source, this tiny little clue. It really is like the beginning of a treasure hunt. Short, mysterious, and makes you wonder, what have I agreed to in the past?
Exactly, and that's where our second source comes in.
Yes.
Uber's privacy policy. I mean, these documents, they might seem like this kind of tedious legal jargon, but they hold the keys, don't they, to this whole world, this relationship between our digital lives and these companies, the companies that we're interacting with every day.
Yeah. Okay. So Uber's policy, let's dive in. I mean, this isn't just about, what data do they need to, get me from A to B.
Yeah.
Right. Which, let's face it, I do want them to know that. I don't want to get in the wrong Uber. We're talking about, the nitty-gritty, the stuff that I think most people just kind of gloss over. The small print.
Absolutely. The small print.
Yeah.
And I think, actually, one thing I will say, looking at this, Uber's privacy policy it is actually surprisingly transparent, at least in terms of what they're collecting. So the obvious things, right? Your account information, your payment details, location data. Obviously, location data, both for riders and drivers, really important for the service.
Yeah, to pick me up, know where I am,
Yeah.
not get in the wrong car, 2 a.m.
Exactly. But it gets a lot more interesting than that.
Does it? Fill me in.
So, for example, they collect what's called device motion data.
Device motion data. Okay, this is already sounding a bit sci-fi. What is that?
So essentially, it means that even if you don't have the app open, they can tell how your phone is moving. So imagine you're stuck in traffic. Uber knows. They're tracking your phone's micro movements.
Wow.
To understand things like driving patterns, and that's even if you're just the passenger.
Right. So even if I'm just along for the ride, they're collecting data about the journey, about the driver, presumably.
Exactly that. They're also collecting communication content. So, any messages you send in the app, even call recordings, although they do say that those recordings, they only access them if you're notified beforehand.
Okay.
And here's the kicker. They even infer demographic information like your gender.
Oh, no.
Likely from your name or other profile details.
Okay. That is both incredibly insightful and a little bit creepy.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which side of the fence I fall on. It's clever, though, isn't it?
It is very clever.
But it makes you think, why? Why do they need all this information? Is it just to get me, like you said, from A to B safely and,
And on time.
On time, yeah. Yeah.
That's a great question, and I think that is the question that I'm sure is on a lot of listeners' minds.
Yeah.
Now, the policy does say kind of a few reasons. So obviously, providing the service, big one. They use this data for safety, so, fraud prevention, customer support, research, and this is where it gets really interesting, targeted marketing.
Targeted marketing, huh? So all this data I'm generating, just catching a ride, it's going to be used to, what, curate ads just for me?
Pretty much.
Not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah.
It's not going to lie, it's a little unnerving.
It is the reality, I think, of our digital age, sadly. And it's not, it's not just Uber, is it? Think about all the apps on your phone, all the services that you use.
Yeah, it's pretty much everything.
They're gathering and using this data in similar ways. But to Uber's credit, their policy does talk about user control measures.
Okay, so they're not just hoarding all this information in a digital vault never to be seen again.
No.
Right. What kind of control are we talking about here?
So you can adjust your privacy settings within the app. You can control device permissions. And you can even download a copy of all the data that Uber has collected on you.
Hold on. Rewind. I download all the data they have on me.
You can. You absolutely can.
See it with my own eyes.
Yeah, although I will say it can be quite overwhelming when you see it all in one place.
Oh, I bet. Talk about a reality check, huh?
Yeah.
But at least it's good to know we have some say in this whole data exchange.
Right.
Read the small print.
Yes.
I feel like I'm holding some cards here. But let's be honest. How many people actually go through and adjust those privacy settings or download that data.
It's true. Most people I know, they just kind of click through those T's and C's, don't they?
Yeah, I just want to book the ride, order the food, whatever it is.
Absolutely. We're all so busy. And we're so used to it.
Just click agree. Yeah.
And this is, this is where it gets a little bit trickier. This data, once it's collected, can be very difficult to fully erase.
Yeah. So you're talking about data retention.
Yeah.
Like, they might be holding on to this stuff even after I've, like, deleted my account, said goodbye to ride sharing, like, I'm done.
Yeah, in many cases, yes. Uber's policy, it states that they may retain your data even after you've deleted your account. And they cite reasons like legal obligations, safety, fraud prevention.
So even if I hit that, digital eject button on my Uber account, my data might still be floating around somewhere.
Yeah.
It's funny, for a company that prides itself on getting you from place to place, it sounds like the data takes a much longer journey.
That's a good point. And that actually brings up another interesting and maybe slightly concerning aspect of Uber's practices, which is global data transfer.
Global data transfer. Okay. Now, this is sounding less like ride sharing and more like some kind of international espionage thriller. What are we talking about here?
So remember, we said Uber is a global company.
Oh, right. Yeah.
They're operating in all these different countries. Well, your data, it could be right now, sitting on a server in a completely different part of the world.
Okay.
And subject to, potentially, a completely different set of data protection laws.
So my data's on a world tour. Doesn't need a passport.
That's one way to put it, yes.
Who knows? It might be in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Living it up.
Exactly. Enjoying those perhaps slightly looser privacy laws.
Exactly. It's a scary thought.
Yeah.
It really does underline the importance of that initial clue we had.
Yeah.
Rid the small print. I mean, we're peeling back the layers of the onion here. Each layer is something new and kind of unexpected.
It is. It's a lot to take in, isn't it?
It is. It really is. But I have to ask, though, is any of it bad? I mean, data collection in and of itself, it's not inherently evil, is it?
No, you're right. Data as a thing is neutral. It's how it's collected, how it's used, and how it's protected that really makes the difference.
Right.
And that's why, I think these privacy policies, however tedious they may seem, they are important because they give us a window into how companies are actually using our data.
Yeah.
And what rights, if any, we have.
It's true. It's like they say, knowledge is power. But in this case, it's knowing about our own data that gives us power.
Okay.
So we've done it. We've gone deep. We've really unraveled, I think, what's tucked away in all that small print. But I'm still stuck on this clue.
Read the small print.
Read the small print.
Wow.
Why? Why this message? What are your thoughts? What do you think it means?
Well, it's almost like a riddle, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's a riddle that's asking us to look beyond the obvious.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, maybe it is a very simple but important reminder. Pay attention. Be aware. We are so quick, all of us agree, to just,
get to the next
thing and not even think about it. So it could be a nudge, this clue, just to stop and think for a minute. Before you hit that button, what are the implications?
Right. Yeah, it's like handing someone a compass, right, before they wander off into completely uncharted territory.
Yes.
Like they could choose to ignore it, but they're probably better off just having a quick glance, seeing which way they're going.
Exactly. Or maybe it's highlighting, the sheer volume, the sensitivity of all this data that's being collected. Our digital footprints, as we've said, they're huge, and they're only getting bigger. So it could be a call to be more mindful, I suppose, of the information that we're sharing. The traces of ourselves that we're leaving behind with every click, with every interaction.
It's like our data is creating this kind of digital shadow, isn't it?
It is, yes. That follows us wherever we go online.
Yeah.
And that brings us to another, maybe slightly more unsettling interpretation of our cryptic message.
Go on.
Could it be suggesting that there is something else, something maybe a bit more unfavorable, something that most people, when they are skimming through this legalese, they're missing?
Okay, now you're being cryptic. What could be so hidden? What could be so, sinister that it needs a warning?
Well, I don't know. It's just a thought, isn't it?
It's a very unsettling thought.
It is. But it does make you think. Whatever the meaning behind our clue, I think this deep dive has been
illuminating.
Really illuminating. It's been fascinating, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
And I think, although Uber, they are surprisingly transparent, their privacy policies,
In some ways, yeah.
In some ways, they are very open about what they collect. It does highlight just this this sheer volume of data
It's a lot.
that is being collected constantly by the companies that we use, and probably often without us really realizing.
Yeah, it is. It's that old adage, isn't it?
Yeah.
Convenience comes at a cost.
Yes.
And in this case, the cost might be, well, our privacy,
It might.
our digital autonomy.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And ultimately, I suppose it is up to us as users, as consumers, to decide if we are comfortable with that, if the convenience is worth it.
It's a tough question.
Well, on that note,
It is a tough question.
we leave you, the listeners, with a thought.
A final thought.
What other small print might you need to take a closer look at in your life, in your digital life?
Yes. What warrants, what deserves your attention?
Until next time.